Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a story that feels, well, intensely personal for anyone who's ever tried to make it as a creator. But the stakes here, they are quite literally life or death. At the heart of it all is this incredibly powerful concept called the fading home. We're going to break down the journey of a character who has to risk absolutely everything just to keep his very existence from disappearing.
If I stay, we erase. If I jump, we might survive. Right out of the gate, this is the pivotal realization from our protagonist, a simple 2D figure known as Stickman. This quote right here sets the baseline for the entire narrative. Look, we aren't just talking about your everyday economic struggle or, trying to make rent. We are talking about the terrifying threat of total erasure. I mean, imagine your very existence and your family's existence physically fading away into nothingness if you don't take a massive leap into the unknown.
So, let's get into part 1, the fading home.
We're immediately introduced to the bleak reality of Stickman's environment. He lives in this harsh world made entirely of empty white spaces. It's the ultimate analog poverty. His home? It's drawn with these rough, fragile pencil lines, and it's physically breaking down. The inkwells, which are essentially the lifeblood of his world, are completely bone dry. There's literally just a single frayed pencil line serving as a leaking roof against the dark rain outside. And honestly, the most tragic part is that, right in the background, his family is slowly fading into a translucent gray. That is the true horror of the fading home, the agonizing physical degradation of his universe.
This setup perfectly illustrates the massive, intimidating gap between his current state and where he desperately needs to go. On one side, we've got the analog home. It's frail, it's physical, and it's defined by those dry inkwells and that terrifying fading gray. But then, looming right on the edge of his paper universe is the digital realm. This place is characterized by blinding white, glowing neon blue light, and it runs on infinite code. It's this vast, high-tech interface that honestly looks like an alien planet to him. It represents his only hope, but man, it's an incredibly daunting frontier.
Which brings us to part 2, the digital divide. The crucial concept we need to understand right here is the leap. This isn't a choice, it's an economic migration born of pure, desperate necessity. Stickman finds himself standing at the crisp, torn edge of a giant sheet of drawing paper, staring out into the glowing border of a digital scanner interface. The brutal reality of the fading home means all the money is gone, and the clock has basically run out. Jumping into that blinding scanner bed isn't just an option, it is literally his one and only chance at survival. He has to jump.
Okay, part 3, the creator economy grind.
The digital world didn't care about a simple line drawing. You see, the moment Stickman plunges into the screen, he instantly turns into code. And this perfectly mirrors the experience of the modern gig worker, right? Or the unseen digital laborer. He genuinely thought that just arriving in this glowing digital realm would immediately save his fading home, but he quickly realizes a harsh truth. The system is entirely, completely indifferent to him.
So, to survive, Stickman is forced to take on some of the most grueling, exploited labor you can imagine in the creator economy. We're talking about working as a background stuntman, where his actual job is getting stepped on by giant high-tech 3D monsters. Or he's tasked with physically holding up massive glowing green screen canvases from inside these complex video editing timelines. Just imagine the sheer exhaustion of this environment. He's totally surrounded by glossy 3D rendering tools, vibrant audio tracks, and neon dials, while he remains just a simple, completely overworked 2D figure.
But why does he endure it? Why put up with this incredibly punishing grind? Well, his singular focus hasn't changed one bit, sending every single cent back to sharpen his family's lines. Every terrible gig he takes, every time he gets stomped on by a 3D monster, it all goes back to the fading home. That terrifying mental image of his family turning completely translucent, that's his driving motivation, pushing him through this absolutely exhausting digital gauntlet.
Moving on to part 4, animating the truth. Now this is the moment where everything shifts. Stickman finally realizes he's completely exhausted from just being a tool in someone else's high-tech video. So late at night, alone inside a dark digital workspace, he makes a massive pivot. First, he manages to salvage a cracked, discarded digital tablet. Then, rather than trying to use those expensive, glossy 3D tools that the system prizes, he just starts drawing passionately right on the glowing glass using his own finger. And finally, he tells the raw, rough sketch story of his own family. He strips away all the high-end production value and leans completely into pure, unfiltered authenticity. He decided to animate his own truth.
If there's one vital takeaway you remember from this explainer, let it be this: authenticity cuts through the digital noise, always. By simply telling his own story, the very real, raw struggle of the fading home, he ends up creating something far more compelling than any of the hollow, flashy videos he was working on as an exploited digital laborer.
And finally, part 5. Lines written in gold.
1 million. Stickman uploads his raw, rough sketched project, simply titling it Just a Line. And literally overnight, the algorithm absolutely catches fire. He suddenly finds himself staring at this massive digital dashboard floating out in cyberspace, watching a giant holographic counter spin at lightning speed from the thousands straight into the millions. The views don't just climb, they explode. Bright green numbers, notifications, and gold coin icons are practically catching fire all around him while he just watches in pure amazement.
So what is the ultimate reward for this massive viral moment? The fading home gets upgraded into a permanent, high-resolution digital estate. That grueling, terrifying poverty is entirely gone. His family, who were once on the very brink of being erased into empty white space, are now perfectly drawn. They have bold, permanent lines on a premium, multi-layered digital canvas. They are, at long last, safe from erasing forever.
I absolutely love how this narrative bookends. He is, quote, still just a stickman, but now his black lines glow with a rich, metallic gold texture. Stickman didn't actually have to turn into a glossy 3D rendering to succeed in that world. He didn't lose his core identity. He just animated his own truth, and in doing so, he saved his home. He's still exactly who he always was, but now, his lines are permanently written in gold.
As we wrap up today, I want to leave you with a really crucial question to chew on. What is your fading home, and what truth will you animate to save it? Because look, in today's overwhelming digital creator economy, we all have something vital that we're trying to protect. And we all have a unique, authentic story that only we can tell. Think about that as you navigate your own digital leap. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.